Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 5th August 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my other videos, including the one that were done previously and the one that could be done in future. So let us continue with the topic for today's discussion in this particular video. I remember we did a series on a particular English very famous saying, don't judge a person by the way he or she lives, but judge him too and judge her too by the way he or she dies. We discussed several case histories authenticating this particular saying, in which it is said that when a person is alive, whether male or female, whether popular or not, whether successful or not, he or she keeps a facade that is not necessarily true of the true self and karma of that particular living individual just because he or she is alive and so he or she is capable of maintaining that facade for the society and the world to see. In other words, a person may try to keep a facade or a face like that of a saint, but he or she may not be a saint. A person may try to look like he or she is very, very successful, but then the same person may not be that successful. There are plenty of examples where we are fooled and tricked by individuals because we are taken on by those people's facade. In that case, we come to know about the true self of this particular person only after he or she passes on. The way he or she passes on tells us volumes about the actual nature and the status and the capacity of that particular living individual. His or her intentions, karma, destiny, whims, fantasies, preferences, choices, vindictive attitude, anger, illusion, lust, etc. are evident only after that person passes on. It is the way and the circumstances under which that person passes on that we come to know the actual position that person was in. We discussed several case histories to vouch for this very valuable and important saying in English. It tells us that we should be quite careful before judging a particular person. What he or she is showing to the world may not be that true as he or she wants the world to believe. Please remember another English adage: appearances are deceptive. What appears in one case may not really be true in that particular case. In today's video, we shall discuss one very intriguing, interesting, and encyclopedia of a case history which will talk volumes about the authenticity of this saying. The protagonists in this case history are more than one. Initially, we were discussing in every case history about only one person, whereas in this case, we shall be talking about more than one person. Because this is a very true story, I would like to caution you that I am only going to use synonyms to describe those people, and I would like not to disclose their real identities. For convenience, let me call them by alphabets. So here we go. There is a particular township in a particular state in India. One very respectable, intelligent, and talented individual who went into the film industry in the late 20s, 30s, and 40s lived there. This guy became a film distributor. He became a film distributor of a particular regional film in that area, and he earned quite a reputation in that field. This man was married, and Eventually, he begot three sons. We will call these three sons as A, B, and C. The protagonist for this case history belong to this particular three sons of that individual film distributor. After some time, this film distributor distributed a film which became surprisingly a hit, and hence this man began making money hand over fist. All his three sons, A, B, and C, were assets of the family in the sense that they turned out to be very nice, very intelligent, and very successful individuals in their own right. First, we will talk about A. A was not only extremely intelligent, but he was also quite dynamic and enterprising. He joined his father's family business of film distribution at an early age. Besides that, this boy was very well qualified, and he qualified and came out as a full-fledged chartered accountant. Because film distribution has a lot to do with finances, this boy's qualification as a chartered accountant came handy in his case. When this boy joined his father's family business of film distribution, he and the family relocated to the capital of that state for good from the township where they initially belonged. In this capital, which was a commercial hub and the headquarters of regional film industry, this boy came out in leaps and bounds. He was so successful as a film distributor that he was known to be a Midas in that field. When this boy ended up making millions, he turned to production of those films. When this happened, he produced some films initially with other people as directors, but then he chose to make his own younger brother, who was also a management graduate, as a film director. This B, the younger brother, was such a genius that he made his family proud and the whole community, the state, the country proud nationally, regionally, and internationally by churning out blockbusters one after the other. However, somewhere during the course of their activities, this elder brother chose to go separate and became an independent producer for some reason unknown to the public. The middle brother joined C, the other brother, as a partner, and the two brothers B and C started their own production house, which was very famous and which became internationally popular. Meanwhile, this extremely intelligent eldest brother, A, who was responsible for making his younger brother B a film director, continued to churn out other productions independently. He was quite successful in that. However, nobody knows what happened, and that is why I said don't judge a person by the way he or she lives. Judge him or to also by the way he or she dies. This eldest brother A was keeping a facade of success and prosperity for the society and the world to see. Something went wrong in his production business, and his films began flopping right, left, and center. Though people knew that his films were flopping, they still believed that this guy was capable of coming out of these dark clouds and swamps very soon. But alas, one day in the early 2000s of the 21st century, this guy ended his life abruptly by hanging himself in his flat in the same metropolis. The whole country, especially this state, was shocked by this sudden development. Nobody could even believe that such a thing was possible. They really felt that this guy was King Midas in the film industry and that he would come out of all this very soon and prove to the world that he is a movie mogul. But it was not to happen that way. This guy committed suicide and made the country wonder how such a thing like a suicide could happen to such a great man. If suicide could be done by such a successful genius, then what of us mortals who are ordinary human beings and who have been living and eking out an humble existence? Now comes the second brother. This second brother also graduated as a management student, became a film industry director, and started direction in the film industry of this regional film industry. He churned out films in several languages. Almost 75 to 80% of them are hits, with some being actual blockbusters. He is today successful as not only a director but also as a writer and a producer of films. So far, so good in the case of the second brother B. Now comes the case of C, who is the second protagonist of this particular case history. C was also extremely intelligent, erudite, and studious. He came out in leaps and bounds as a student and he completed his chartered accountancy just like his eldest brother A. He became a practicing chartered accountant, and as a practicing chartered accountant, he joined his middle brother B in film production, direction, and distribution. The two brothers B and C started their own film production house. They churned out several blockbusters and hit movies for the state, the country, and the world to see. In fact, in some cases, their films became so famous that they were screened on the international film festivals also. Now, what happened was this third brother, C, went on a trekking expedition with his family to another hill station in India. They all were having a gala time when suddenly this youngest brother C, who was so successful, tripped and fell into a several hundred-meter deep gorge or hole in such a way that even the cops of that state could not recover his mortal remains. This seems to be quite shocking. If such an end had come to an ordinary person, one could have understood that such things happen to every mortal in this world. But this brother C was no ordinary guy. He was a movie mogul who had always rode towards success during his short career of some 20 to 30 years. Not even 30, only 20 years. He was only in his late 40s when such an accident happened to him. This makes the common man wonder what was wrong in the case of karma and destiny of this young man that made him meet such a macabre end. As a movie mogul, a decent man, an educated person, and a respectable individual, this guy could have quietly died on the bed in his own state instead of dying by falling into a pit in a gorge in some other hill station. This makes everyone feel surprised. It intrigues the viewer and makes him or her wonder if this is possible to people like the person called C, then what of us? It can happen to all of us more easily than it happened to him who was so well placed in the society. And at that time, this age old adage in English comes to the mind. Don't judge a person by the way he or she lives. Judge him or her too by the way he or she dies. Before concluding this, I would also try to discuss another case history which happened a few days back in India. It is also about an art director called Anant Desai. This Mr. Anant Desai was not only quite talented, intelligent, and a genius in both creativity and finance, but he was also the owner of one of the biggest film studios in India, especially in Bollywood. So good a businessman and an art director was he that he was responsible solely for creating sets that gave several historical and blockbuster movies to the industry and the public of India. Most of the films in which he was an art director and the studio owner were well received hits, blockbusters, and people remember his films even to this day. This studio, which he owned, was around 50 acres in size and range. This guy was an art director who created massive sets of palaces, forts, battlegrounds, offices, film king's courts, etc. successfully. So much so that when the viewer saw those movies, he or she really believed that this was actually being shot in a real palace or fort. This man rode the horse of success for around 20 years and made several successful projects. People thought that he was indeed a man with a Midas touch, but alas, such a genius like Anant Desai made some wrong financial moves which put him at the midst of an unending swamp. This guy tried to wriggle out of his situation, but all his activities further dragged him down into the swamp, deeper and deeper. So much so that suddenly, 2 days back, this movie Meghal, who had been such a genius and a talented person, who had successfully art designed several historical blockbuster movies, committed suicide by hanging himself in the very studio which he once owned. The whole country is baffled, distraught, and the police are trying to find out clues as to why this man chose such a macabre end. The investigation is going on, but for the viewers, I would like to tell that the adage, don't judge a person by the way he or she lives, judge him or her too by the way he or she dies, has unfortunately come true even in this case. Mr. Anant Desai was not even in his 60s when he chose to commit suicide. We must all take a leaf out of the life story of these people in the case histories. We should remember to tread very carefully and never become complacent enough to take foolhardy decisions which may lead us to disaster one day or the other. We have every right to do good, but at the same time, as the British say, believe in God, but keep your powder dry. In other words, make sure that you are safely ensconced while trying to fight it out in the society. Because even if you lose in the battle, no problem, at least you will have enough to save your face from the public and the society. It is another matter that Mr. Rudyard Kipling had said in his poem Never Quit that you should give everything while achieving your aim. It is true, you have every right and duty to give everything within your talent, your intelligence, and efforts to achieve something, but you should never come to such dire straits financially that you have to take such unfortunate drastic steps as to come to a sudden and macabre end in your life. Suicide is no excuse to end your life, which is very, very precious. If you are careful enough, you will at least be alive and you will have opportunity to keep on fighting regardless of the victory or loss in your pursuits. Our ultimate aim is not to be materially successful. The ultimate aim is to go spiritual, get self realized, liberated, and finally delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We must keep this aim in mind before getting into any endeavor, both materialistically and spiritually. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter in this video. Please give me your own expert ideas, thoughts, opinions, and views so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.